The Lake Beresford mural depicts plants, animals, and environments specific to Lake Beresford and the connecting St. Johns River. It was painted by Johnny Dame in collaboration with students from Stetson University.
I worked up an initial drawing draft, which people reviewed and gave me feedback about. And of course, there were different aspects that came about after we started that we could not have imagined until we got underway. But that's the magic of art. So there was this idea that there needed to be an educational component to the mural, and part of that would be to indicate like a timeline history of this entire area in Lake Beresford and its connectivity to the St. Johns River. The explorer's map was meant to be rendered somewhat simply, just like an old-time explorer's map would be.
The American colonial history of Lake Beresford began in the 1760s when William Beresford was granted a 20,000-acre plot of land along the southern St. Johns River. He established a plantation on the eastern shore of what he named Lake Beresford. This land was awarded to him by the British government in recognition of his military service, and he became one of the few white settlers and plantation owners in Central Florida at the time. For a long period, there were few settlers in Central Florida. However, during this time, the naturalist William Bartram would explore the untamed wilderness of Florida and document his journey. Bartram traveled through Central Florida along the St. Johns River in 1774 and eventually reached what is now Volusia County. In his published journal Travels, Bartram recounts his experiences with nature, including a dramatic encounter near Lake Beresford where his boat was attacked by, quote, roaring gators, which he fought off with a club. He also described and sketched previously unseen endemic flowers and wildlife, which are commonly referred to by his name.
In the tan, these elevated ridge features that are very significant to the context of how the different watersheds are configured in the state of Florida. We have the compass, we have the directions, and we also have an alligator snapper turtle. They're both directional. You know, this would be the Euro-American concept of the directions, how they would be written out. But for the Native American, the directions are symbolized by the tortoise itself. We have the largemouth bass. We have a channel catfish. And we have a sunfish. And then we have a blue tilapia and an armored catfish. Both of them are relatively new-coming fish and actually invasives. Okay, we have 2 wood storks. We have 3 sandhill cranes. We have an ibis. Above the shell mound vignette, we have 2 swallowtail kites. And then within the vignette itself, there's a bald eagle, a dove, and an ivory-billed woodpecker. We also have numerous flowers represented, and it's a sequence, actually, that is significant. So the iris that we have down here at the bottom blooms in March. The magnolias bloom in April. The bay laurels bloom in May. The butterfly orchids in the upper right corner bloom in early June. The Begeria blooms in mid to later June. And then we'll have the wild native hibiscus blooming soon in July. So my heritage is a combination of English, Spanish, French, and Native American. And I get the English, the Spanish, and the French through my father's side, the Dames, and I get my Native American connection through my mother and her mother's people who were Choctaw, came into Florida over 100 years ago. The Choctaw were mound builders, and so I share the heritage of the mound builders, and that's one reason why I felt compelled to bring this into the mural, because it's my personal connection to this. And the Native woman it honors my mother and my grandmother. It's becoming increasingly important to help people understand their sense of place. People are getting less and less connected to the natural world, and this is not boding well for our future. And we need to help bring people back into the context of where they live. And we need maps, we need artworks, we need lots of creations that emphasize where we're actually located in the context of our ecosystems and our watersheds, so that we can not only cherish our relationship to these places, but also to help us develop behavior patterns that allow for a sustainable relationship between ourselves and these natural systems.
The next time the wind rustles through the leaves of the trees, take a deep breath and give thanks for the rich, interconnected natural world around you.